So, Scott McCabe here, reporting for the Irish Punt, and I am delighted to introduce today's guest, Coach Adam Boily, the owner and founder of the System 8, an elite athletic training brand located in Florida. Boily has over a decade of experience in training the top athletes from around the sporting world. NBA, MLB, NFL, you name it, Boily's probably met them and trained with them. I mean, some of these NFL names that you've trained, Adam, it's really, really amazing. I mean, the names of Jonathan Taylor, Rob Gronkowski, Alvin Kamara, I mean, the list goes on. It really does. I don't even have enough space on a page to write them. So, I've given a brief introduction as to what the kind of System 8 is there, but can you kind of go into more detail, describe it to us? And I know it's called the System 8 for a reason. So if you wouldn't mind explaining that to us.
Yeah. So basically, our goal is to build a complete athlete. So that's our thing. So a lot of times, strength and speed is not easy, but it's easy for us, and it's easy for a lot of people that kind of focus on that. But what I saw and what I see is the problem still is guys are getting good strength work, they're getting good speed work and agility work, and even good recovery and medical rehab. But what's missing is the other things, like taking care of the endocrine system, taking care of like other lifestyle factors that affect hormones and those kind of things. So that's what we like to do, is focus on is making sure that when the athletes leave us, they have a really good and healthy lifestyle practices that aren't going to sabotage our training, and that can actually enhance our training, and we can get more out of the training by ensuring that the athletes are sleeping good, getting enough sunlight on their skin, getting out of shoes, making sure their feet are healthy and connected to the ground, and all these different kinds of things that we focus on, because it boosts the immune system, it boosts testosterone in males, and it's just a very healthy practices outside, to where those kind of things are going to really help our training and not sabotage them. So when they leave us, they're getting good water. They're not doing these different kinds of things that might sabotage the results. So our systems focus around that.
I mean, it's been very successful, the System 8, and the progress you guys have been on. But every story, you got to start somewhere, and it's not always plain sailing. Was there any difficulties, if you did face any, that you faced starting off on your fitness journey? Like, is it difficult to initially get clients to do sessions with you?
Yeah, the biggest thing is to volunteer and complete an internship at a place that a reputable place where you're going to learn hands-on, either from a mentor or learn from somebody that is doing what you want to do. When I first started in this industry, I worked for like this guy who, it was just he did like high school camps and lacrosse camps, and that was kind of just getting practice. Then I worked for another company that worked with young athletes, young youth athletes, as well as professional athletes at all levels, and that's where I excelled. And there was just many athletes, in that scenario, where I got introduced to many athletes in that business. But there was no like one. I mean, when I finally started my own company, I had so many relationships built out over my experience in the years in the industry, and going around the conferences, being at NFL combines, talking to NFL athletes that I known, coaches, other strength coaches, at the professional level. So, having those relationships. When I broke off on my own, there were a few athletes where they said that they would always come with me. They would always follow me wherever I went, because I was delivering an honest product and service to them, and they were really excelling at the highest level. So a few names probably be Jarvis Landry. I trained him for the first 3 years of his career, three and a half years of his career in the NFL. So that was a big name guy. James White with the Patriots, triple champ, I believe. Yeah, triple champion, should have had MVP, Super Bowl MVP as well. So James White was another one where he come out of college and worked with him. Giovanni Bernard, Wes Welker towards his later years, Frank Gore, These were athletes I met at a former business I worked for. But Jarvis was with me primarily, and in my new business.
I mean, and these sessions, I've seen them. They look intense. Now, Adam, I'm no NFL quarterback. I wish I was. Unfortunately, I'm not. But say I was, and I contact you, or word gets out. Say I'm training with Patrick Mahomes, and we're good buddies, which I wish we were. Maybe in some imaginary world, right? And he says, "Look, Adam's doing a training session. Pop down." Do I come to you and say, "Look, Adam, this is what I want to work on," or would you analyze me and say, "Look, Scott, I think you need to, we'll work on your arms here. We'll do this." How do those sessions kind of work?
So yes, if we have an athlete I've never trained, and who's a referral from another pro athlete, the first thing we do is I have a medical team that I work with for about 10 years, and they're the only people I trust down here. It's only about 2 people. One's a bodywork specialist, specializes in muscle activation techniques, active release therapies, and a lot of other modalities, as well as a chiropractic doctor who specializes in really thorough evals that help me get a lot of information. Physical therapist as well. My fiance Bridget Lynn Clems does evals and for us, for our professional athletes, and all those modalities together just give me all the information I need to design a program around an athlete specifically for them. And then we all communicate and work, and we all understand we all understand what we all do. And so if we communicate properly, which we do, and share notes, we really can work on what we need to work on to fix an issue or to enhance a certain aspect of an athlete's mechanics.
It sounds pretty well organized, as it would have to be if you're dealing with some of the top names in the sporting industry. And speaking of these names, I did see the Rob Gronkowski clip with yourself and him. What was that session like? Because Rob Gronkowski is viewed as, the jokester, the messer, but you don't get to the successful level that Rob Gronkowski's been at unless you put in the hard work and determination. Did you see a different side to Rob Gronkowski in that weight room that you were like, there's a reason this guy's a Super Bowl champ several times?
Yeah, I've met Gronk throughout the years a few times, and when he come in for those sessions, he was coming off, I believe his retirement from the Patriots, and he knew he was going to go back and play with Tom in Tampa, so he was down there training with us, getting ready for that. So no, with a guy like Rob, it's just all business, When it's time to train, it's time to train. He's not joking around when he's training by any means. He's very specific. He's very detailed on who works on him, who works with him. So, and that was a word of mouth thing. So in that instance, he had already known who I was, but it was really good for him to just come down. We were connected through running back Stephen Ridley, who was training with us at the time, and he said, "Hey, Gronk's in town. He wants to come up and work with us." So I said, "Okay, bring him on." So he come in, and it was just right back business as usual. So, for him, he likes being in the group. He likes the camaraderie, which most athletes do. A lot of them don't typically like the one-on-one, at least for most skill positions. Sometimes, you get into like a lineman position or a quarterback position. They're typically more detailed with their angles and knee angles and elbow angles. And so they're kind of very specific. But for most other positions, we get the best work in small groups. So that's where we kind of keep the intensity. He's very intense. Of course, we'll joke and have fun, but it's like, just a little bit, a little joke here or there, maybe during the warm up or the prep. But then it's just right back to focus and making sure his form is biomechanically as perfect as possible, so we minimize any wear and tear in his joints, and also work around the wear and tear he already has.
Yes.
So he's very specific about that, working on strengthening the areas where he's taken damage during the years, and so with soft tissue work, corrective work, auxiliary work specific to him, working with his medical notes that he has with his team. He works with TB12 a lot with Tom Brady's people, so they do good work. So if I can get notes, I get notes and feedback through Gronk from them. That's really good. And then we can, at the end of the day, use our strength methods and speed methods to help him become as efficient as possible. So when he's ready to play, he's powerful. He's biomechanically as symmetrical as possible. And therefore he's able to play, at a high level throughout the entire season, even taking hits and things. So,
yeah. And then, so moving from one player to another, then, Adam, Jonathan Taylor, arguably, I mean, it's just the most remarkable year that running back had. That year 2 leap that everyone speaks about. He was just phenomenal last year. 1,800 yards, 18 touchdowns. In your opinion, what made him so special? Did you see him in the offseason and go, did you see glimmers of this? Like, this guy he means business this year?
Jonathan Taylor always means business. When I first met him, it was after his junior year of college, and he had already had 4,000 yards rushing in 2 years. So he had come out, maybe it was his sophomore year, going into his junior year, I believe. And he was a referral from Melvin Gordon and James White, who obviously are Wisconsin running backs. And I trained both of them pretty much predominantly for their whole careers. And so Jonathan Taylor coming up through Wisconsin, was reached out to them and said, hey, I want to train. Where do you guys train? And obviously saw that where Melvin and James was training and having, Pro Bowl years and a lot of success. So he came down before that last season, before his last college season, and worked with us. And he was there for about a month, I believe, and maybe a little bit more, a month and a week. And we just got some really good work in. He hopped right into our NFL vet workouts with Melvin and all the guys and James White. And Dare Gumbawale was down there. So all the Wisconsin running backs were down. And yeah, he just, when I first started training, like the first week I went to Melvin, I said, dude, this dude right here is different. And so I could just tell, because I've trained hundreds of high level running backs, and sometimes you can't tell, sometimes you can tell. With him, it was just like, you could tell, obviously he was fast. Obviously, he was quick in his breaks, and he picked things up real fast. His mechanics were, biomechanically, I guess I would say athlete perfect. When I look at an athlete, I can pretty much tell by the way their feet, their ankles, their knees, their hips are kind of set up, that I know that they're most likely very athletic. And so he had all of that. But what was surprising, it was so easy. It was like effortless.
Yeah.
So when he was doing it, I said, wow, this dude right here is different. He actually came down with Gronkowski too. Gronkowski come down. He was the running back of Wisconsin as well with JT. So it was both of them down. And even him, he was like, yeah, no, JT's the one. He's the one. So he went off to, I think, rush for another 2,000 yards for that year. And so came out as a junior, I believe, after his junior year with 6,000 yards rushing. So yeah, we knew at that point that he was very special and gifted, and just one of those guys where he completely bought in too. He completely bought into the whole complete athlete, theme that we were building, which was awesome to see. JT's really smart too.
Yeah.
He's really smart, and when you meet his team, Barry and Rachel, the team he has around him, and his agent, they're just as sharp, and everyone on JT's team is very sharp, and they're very good at what they do. So he's got, he's built that as well. So, the future is really bright for JT.
And seeing your guys succeed, like you're saying there, you've seen Jonathan Taylor in his college days nearly. What's it like? Like last year, Odell Beckham wins a Super Bowl with the Rams, and you've done sessions with OBJ. For a guy who's put in so much effort, he's been through the injuries, and so much has stood in his way, and yet he's defied the odds and gone out and won a Super Bowl. As a trainer, it must be nearly like a proud father feeling when you see these guys really make it at the next level.
Yeah, first of all, we don't take credit for anything that these guys do. I always say that in every interview I do, in every podcast I do. There's JT's going to be JT without anybody training him. Odell's gonna be Odell. Then anybody like Gronk, all these guys, they're great without us. So, I don't really like when guys take credit so much for the athletes. Now you can share in the success and things like that, and obviously we do help them. But there's no proportion. There's not a big enough proportion of help to where you could take credit for anything they do. So it's all them. It's all their decision making. It's all their hard work. We're just, like I said, part of the team, and that actually comes down to them as well, because they can pick the wrong team and they can have, a weak link here or there. But, when the guys pick the right team, and we believe we're a really good team member for a lot of these guys because of our system. And we're just there to help. Our main thing, at this level, with that level of guys, with that level of talent, our job is to just do everything possible to make sure they're strong, and able to withstand external forces and even internal forces and ground reaction forces and different forces that occur in sport, to where they don't get injured.
With the NFL teams, I'm really intrigued with this. So if we look at Jonathan Taylor, for example, in the Colts, he is a main reason for their success last year. A big part of it. He was phenomenal for them. So are they interested in, would they be in contact with you, or would you be in contact with them in terms of how Jonathan's getting on, or how he's keeping? Or is it just like off season, Jonathan does his thing, comes back, and it's like all the best, and they hope that he comes back ready to play?
It's a good question. A lot of strength coaches and teams will not reach out to private trainers, unless you have a relationship with them through players over time, kind of things like that. So I have a relationship with a few strength coaches in the NFL. Dave Paloka for the Dolphins, I had a long time relationship with him. So me and him will communicate just on maybe things he sees that he wants maybe a certain guy to work on in the off season. So we can kind of communicate that way, as well as Mark Ueyama, who is the strength coach for the San Francisco 49ers for a long time. I was introduced to him through Frank Gore when he was there. And then he eventually went over to the Vikings, where we kept our relationship there, and we would talk about, I would go visit him there and talk about just training and strength training and different methods, and share just different, ideas and strategies that he uses that he's found were successful, and likewise for me. And I was with Teddy Bridgewater a couple of years before his injury that he had during the preseason, and that was and so me and Mark talked a lot during that time frame, because when Teddy was doing his rehab process, I was with him pretty much every day, helping him get back from that injury, and so just behind the scenes, I would just talk with Mark, and he would just check in, see how he's doing. No, we wouldn't share personal information or anything like that. It was just, how's he doing? Just say, okay, he's doing good. We're working on getting strength back, and he's, those kind of things for some of the strength coaches. I would talk to them in certain scenarios like that. But for the most part, you won't talk to them unless you have like a relationship with them, or a relationship. Sometimes more the medical side of the private sector of training athletes. They'll typically communicate with the team more because they need the notes, and actually, those kind of limitations or any sort of surgeries or any kind of notes that they might need, or even a team might even refer out sometimes because they know an athlete's down a certain way and they might trust a certain doctor or something like that. So they'll actually reach out and do that. In which case, when you have a relationship with that doctor, now we have this whole big communication where it's the team, the doctor, and us working together to help a specific athlete.
Well, Adam, I can't thank you enough for your time today. It's been a really, really interesting conversation speaking to you, and we're all about growing the game over here, and you've really shone a light on a different side of American football. So I'm sure the Irish fans, you'll probably have a base of the System 8 fans over in Ireland. And
Yeah.
you're more than welcome to come over here, and we'd love to have you over here. And we actually have Northwestern and Nebraska are playing in the Aer Lingus College Football Classic, and we have that in a month's time over here. So a lot of football fans getting ready for it, and of course we have NFL Europe, which is flying at the moment. Everyone wants to get their tickets to see Tom Brady in action. But look, man, honestly, it's been really, really amazing chatting to you today, and I wish the System 8 and yourself nothing but the best, and along with your athletes going into this season. I hope they're all destined for great things, because I'm sure they are. So thank you so much for your time, Adam. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you, man. Thank you for the interview. I hope you guys do good with your interviews and things, and I got to get out there to Ireland soon.